Nobody showed up on the day of my son's surgery. 3 days later, my mother wrote to me, "I need $10,000 for your sister's wedding dress." I sent her $1 with the message, "Buy yourself a veil." Then, I blocked her access to my accounts. The following morning, the bank manager called me. "My name is Laura, I'm 33 years old, and I'm a single mother to Samuel, my little 7-year-old boy. I work as a financial analyst, a decent job that pays the bills and allows me to save for my son's future. I've always been the responsible one in the family, the one who solves everything, the one who puts up the money when my parents or my sister Veronica ask for it. My parents, Clara and Roberto, have never been good with finances. And Veronica, who is 28, lives as if the world owes her everything. Since I started working, I became their personal ATM. Laura, can you lend me $500 for the electricity bill? Laura, Veronica needs a new dress. They never paid anything back, but I let it slide, thinking that's just how families work. Everything changed one Tuesday morning. Samuel woke up complaining that his stomach hurt. At first, I thought it was just a passing thing, but when I saw how pale he was and that he had a fever, I knew something was wrong. I took him to the hospital immediately. The diagnosis was clear, appendicitis. He needed surgery that very afternoon. I felt a knot in my chest. Samuel, my brave little boy, tried to smile while the doctors explained that everything would be okay. I tried to stay strong, but inside, I was terrified. I called my mother from the waiting room. "Mom, Samuel needs emergency surgery. Can you guys come?" Her response was cold. "Oh, Laura, today of all days we have a meeting for Veronica's wedding, but don't worry, everything will be fine. Let me know how he's doing." She hung up before I could say anything else. I tried my father. "I'm with a client, Laura. I can't right now. Call your mother." Veronica didn't even answer my text. There I was, alone in the hospital with my son about to go into the operating room. The surgery went well, thank God. Samuel spent the night under observation, and I stayed by his side, holding his hand while he slept. I was exhausted but relieved. No one from my family called or showed up. Not a single text, nothing. 2 days later, I brought Samuel home. He was weak but smiling. I, on the other hand, felt an emptiness I couldn't explain. It wasn't just the scare from the surgery, it was the realization that my family wasn't there when I needed them most. 3 days later, while I was making soup for Samuel, I received an email from my mother. The subject line read, "Urgent, we need your help." I thought something serious had happened, but when I opened it, I almost dropped my phone. "Laura, we found the perfect dress for Veronica's wedding. It costs $10,000, but it's one of a kind, and she deserves it. Please send the money soon. Thanks, sweetie, $10,000 for a dress." My son had just gotten out of the hospital, and they hadn't even asked about him. I felt a rage burning inside me. It wasn't just about the money, it was about everything. The years of giving and giving, the loans they never paid back, the abandonment. Something inside me broke. I wasn't going to be the daughter who always says yes anymore. I opened my banking app, transferred $1 to Veronica's account, and wrote in the message, "Buy yourself a veil." Then I blocked her number, my mother's, and my father's. I didn't want to hear their excuses. That night, I reviewed my finances. I had a joint emergency account with my parents, one we had opened years ago just in case. I never checked it much, I trusted them. But when I looked at the history, I froze. They had been withdrawing money without telling me $2,000 here, $3,000 there. In total, more than $15,000 over 2 years, money I had saved for Samuel. The next day, I went to the bank, froze the joint account, transferred what was left to a new account solely in my name, and secured Samuel's education fund. For the first time, I felt like I was regaining control. But the next morning, my phone rang. It was the bank manager, a kind man I had known for years. "Laura, your mother came in today demanding access to the joint account." When I told her it was frozen, she became furious. She said she's going to sue you. "What do you want us to do?" I stayed silent. A lawsuit, from my own mother. But instead of fear, I felt a strange calm. This wasn't just about money, it was about respect, about boundaries, about protecting my son. I hung up and looked at a photo of Samuel on the table. I knew what was coming wouldn't be easy, but I was ready. The rage was mixed with sadness, but also with clarity. Samuel was my priority. I was not going to let my family continue to drain me. That night, after putting Samuel to bed, I checked my phone. I had old text messages from Veronica asking for money for absurd things, a designer handbag, a yoga course, a dinner with her friends. I deleted them all. I didn't want reminders of how much I had given without receiving anything in return. The following days were a mix of relief and tension. Samuel was getting better little by little, and watching him play with his crayons at the kitchen table gave me a peace I hadn't felt in a long time. But deep down, I knew my family wouldn't stay quiet. I had crossed a line by freezing the account and sending that $1 with the sarcastic message. And although I felt liberated, I was also preparing myself for what was to come. On Monday morning, while I was taking Samuel to school, I received a call from an unknown number. I don't usually answer those, but something told me it was important. It was my Aunt Marta, my mother's older sister, the only one in the family who always seemed to be down to earth. "Laura, what's going on with your mother?" She called me yesterday, hysterical, saying you left her on the street and that you're an ungrateful daughter. Her voice was serious, but not accusatory. I told her everything: Samuel's surgery, the abandonment, the email asking for $10,000, the withdrawals from the joint account. Marta listened in silence, and when I finished, she sighed. "I'm not surprised. Clara has always been like that, but I never thought she'd go this far. Be careful, Laura. Your mother won't stop until she gets what she wants." That conversation left me thinking. Marta was right. My mother wasn't one to give up. She had always used guilt as a weapon, and I had always fallen for it. But not this time. I decided to be proactive. I called Carla, my lawyer friend, and asked her to review my finances and any potential legal issues with the joint account. I also asked her to help me draft a clear but firm email to my family. I didn't want to confront them in person yet, but I needed to make it clear that I wasn't going to give in. The email we sent was brief: "I have frozen the joint account because I discovered unauthorized withdrawals. I have supported the family for years, but I cannot continue to do so at my son's expense. Please respect my decision and do not attempt to contact me about money." I sent it to my mother, my father, and Veronica. I didn't expect a kind response, but I also didn't expect what came next. That same afternoon, while I was helping Samuel with his homework, someone rang the doorbell insistently. It was Veronica. She was standing at the door with her arms crossed and a look that mixed anger and pleading. "Laura, how could you do this to us? Mom is devastated. That $1 was a mockery. Are you really that cruel?" I tried to stay calm. "Veronica, my son was in the hospital. None of you showed up. Not a single call. And now you're asking me for $10,000 as if nothing happened. Do you seriously think I'm the cruel one?" She was quiet for a second but then changed tactics. "You've always been the perfect one, haven't you? The one who has everything under control. But you can't treat your family like trash." I didn't want to argue in front of Samuel, who was watching me from the couch with curious eyes. I asked Veronica to leave. "I'm not going to talk about this now. Please, go." I closed the door and felt my heart pounding. Samuel came over and hugged me. "Why is Aunt Veronica angry?" I smiled at him and told him it was grown-up stuff, but inside, it hurt that he had to witness this. I couldn't sleep that night. I remembered all the times I put my family first. When I paid the deposit for their apartment because my father had spent the money on a business that never worked out. When I bought Veronica a new phone because hers wasn't good enough for photos anymore. More than $50,000 in 10 years, and not once had they truly thanked me. It was always the same, "Laura, you're the only one who can help us." But when I needed support, there was no one. The next day, I decided to do something for myself and Samuel. I called my neighbor, Sophia, who had always been a source of support. She and her husband, Marcos, had watched Samuel a few times when I had to work late. I told them what was happening, and they invited us over for dinner. It was a simple but warm evening. We ate tacos, laughed, and Samuel played with their kids. For the first time in days, I felt like I wasn't alone. Sophia told me something that stuck with me, "Laura, family isn't just about who shares your blood, it's about who is there when you need them." She was right. On Friday, I received an email from my father. It was long and full of reproaches. He said he was disappointed in me, that they had always done their best for us, that freezing the account was a betrayal. He ended by saying that Veronica was so stressed about the wedding that she couldn't sleep, and that I was to blame. I didn't reply. Instead, I saved the email as evidence, just as Carla had advised. That weekend, I took Samuel to the park. I wanted him to have a normal, drama-free day. As I watched him run around with other kids, I thought about the future. I wanted him to grow up knowing that he doesn't have to sacrifice everything for others, that love doesn't mean letting yourself be used. I decided to start planning something special for us. A trip, maybe to the beach. It wouldn't be luxurious, but it would be ours. A memory no one could take from us. On Monday, things got more complicated. The bank manager called me again. "Laura, your mother came back. This time she brought a lawyer. She says the joint account is hers too and that you have to return the money you transferred." I felt a knot in my stomach, but no surprise. I knew my mother wouldn't give up so easily. I called Carla immediately, and she reassured me. "They don't have a solid case, Laura. The account was in your name too, and you have proof that they withdrew money without your permission. But prepare yourself, because this is going to be an emotional battle." That night, while Samuel slept, I sat down with a notebook and started writing. I made a list of everything I had paid for my family, bills, gifts, loans. I also noted the times they left me alone, when Samuel was born, when I had to work double shifts, when I asked for help and only got excuses. The list helped me see things clearly. It wasn't just about money, it was my time, my energy, my trust. They had taken all of it without giving anything in return. I decided that if my mother wanted a fight, I would fight back. I gathered bank statements, messages, emails, everything that proved how much I had given and how they had treated me. I didn't want to fight out of hatred, but for justice for Samuel, for myself. But I also knew that confronting them face to face would be inevitable. My mother wasn't someone who gives up with an email or a phone call. Sooner or later, I would have to stand in front of her and say everything I had kept silent for years. As I write this, Samuel is coloring a picture of a dinosaur. He asked me to help him choose colors for the sky. He looks at me with that smile that reminds me why I keep going. I don't know how this fight with my family will end, but I am clear that I am not going to give in. No, not this time. For the first time, I feel like I'm building something for us, something that no one can take away. And although I know the next chapter of this story will be tough, I am ready to face it. The following week was a whirlwind. On Monday morning, I received a text message from an unknown number. It was my mother, using a friend's phone. "Laura, we need to talk. This can't go on like this. We are your family." I read the message several times, feeling that old pang of guilt that always managed to sneak in. But this time, I didn't let it dominate me. I didn't reply. Instead, I called Carla and told her. "Don't fall for it, Laura, she said. It's a manipulation tactic. If they want to talk, it has to be on your terms. I decided that if I was going to face them, it would be in a neutral place. I arranged a meeting at a cafe near my house, a quiet spot where they couldn't make a scene. I invited my parents and Veronica, making it clear that we would only talk if they remained calm. Carla helped me prepare as if I were going to a business negotiation. Bring your evidence, she said, and don't let them make you feel guilty. I put a folder with the bank statements, the emails, and my list of all the loans I had given into my bag. I was ready, but nervous. On the day of the meeting, I arrived at the cafe early. I ordered a tea and sat at a table in the back, watching the door. My parents arrived together with serious faces. Veronica came in a few minutes later wearing sunglasses and an attitude that screamed victim. No one said hello. They looked at me as if I were the stranger at the table. My mother broke the silence. Laura, this has gone too far. Freezing the account, ignoring us, that $1. What is wrong with you? Her voice was a mixture of anger and feigned pity. I took a deep breath. Mom, Dad, Veronica, I want you to listen before you speak. For years, I have paid your bills, your debts, your whims. Over $50,000 in 10 years. And do you know what I got in return? Nothing. Not a thank you, not a call when Samuel was in the hospital, not a single visit. And then, 3 days after his surgery, you ask me for $10,000 for a dress. Do you honestly think that's okay? My father tried to interrupt, but I held up my hand. I'm not finished. I discovered that you took over $15,000 from the joint account without my permission. Money I saved for Samuel, my son, my priority. I will not be your bank anymore. If you want to sue me, go ahead. But I have proof of everything I've given and everything you took without asking. I took out the folder and placed it on the table. No one touched it. Veronica crossed her arms and muttered something about me always exaggerating. My mother started to cry, saying she never meant to hurt me, that she only wanted the best for Veronica. My father stayed silent, staring at his coffee. It was a strange moment, as if they finally saw that they couldn't manipulate me anymore. But then Veronica spoke. Laura, you're selfish. You've always had everything. A good job, a house, Samuel. I just want a nice wedding. Is that too much to ask? I laughed, not because it was funny, but because I couldn't believe her audacity. Selfish? Veronica, I've been paying for your things since I was 22. And you? You didn't even ask about Samuel after his surgery. She looked down but said nothing. My mother tried another tactic. Laura, you are our daughter. Family helps each other. How can you cut us off like this? I answered calmly. Family doesn't abandon a child in the hospital. I'm not cutting you off, but I'm not going to keep paying for your lives. If you want a relationship, it has to be based on respect, not money. I stood up, left the folder on the table, and walked away. I didn't look back. In the car, I felt a mix of relief and sadness. I knew they wouldn't change overnight, but at least I had said what I needed to say. That night, I told Samuel a gentle version of the meeting. I talked to Grandma and Auntie. I told them that I love you very much and that we are going to do great things together. He smiled and asked me to read his favorite book. As I read, I felt a part of me begin to heal. Weeks passed, and life started to feel lighter. Samuel went back to school full of energy. I started going out more with Sophia and Marcos, who became a sort of adoptive family. They organized a picnic in their backyard, and watching Samuel play with their kids filled my heart. I also began to plan our trip to the beach. I found a small place with a cabin near the sea. It wasn't luxurious, but it would be perfect for us. Samuel was thrilled, talking about building sandcastles and looking for shells. One day, while checking the mail, I found a letter from Veronica. It was short, handwritten. She said she was sorry about Samuel, that she hadn't realized how serious it was. She included a small stuffed dinosaur for him. It wasn't a full apology, but it was something. I also received a text from my mother saying she wanted to see Samuel soon. I didn't reply immediately. I wanted to move forward carefully, making sure any relationship with them would be on my terms. Carla confirmed that my mother's threat of a lawsuit had no legal weight. The documents I had gathered were enough to prove the withdrawals from the joint account were unauthorized. I decided not to take legal action against them, not out of kindness, but because I wanted to close that chapter. The lost money hurt, but my peace of mind was worth more. A month later, Samuel and I went to the beach. It was a magical weekend. We ran along the shore, ate ice cream until our stomachs hurt, and laughed until we were out of breath. One night, as we were watching the stars, Samuel asked me, "Mom, why don't Grandma and Auntie come with us?" I explained that sometimes people need time to understand what's important. "But we're okay, right?" he said. I hugged him tight. "More than okay, little one." Back home, I started building a stronger support network. I joined a group of single mothers who organized activities for the kids. I met incredible people, people who understood what it was like to raise a child alone. I also took up a hobby I had abandoned, painting. I was no artist, but painting with Samuel on the weekends became our ritual. He would say my drawings were almost as good as his, and that made me laugh. My family didn't disappear completely. My mother called a few times, asking to see Samuel. I agreed, but I set clear rules: short visits in public places and no talk of money. Veronica texted me again, saying she had canceled the expensive dress and opted for something simpler. I don't know if it was true or just another tactic, but I didn't care. My focus was on my life, on Samuel, on the people who were actually there. As I write this, Samuel is on the couch watching a dinosaur movie. He asked me to sit with him, and in a little while, I will. I look around and see a home filled with small moments, his drawings on the fridge, a photo of us at the beach, a plant Sophia gave me. It's a simple life, but it's ours. I don't know if my family will ever change, but I no longer expect them to. I've learned that family isn't just the one you're born into, but the one you choose. And I choose Samuel, my friends, and myself. This is the end of this story, but not of our journey. There are days when I still feel the weight of what happened, but I also feel hope. Samuel and I are building something new, something strong, and nobody is ever going to take that away from us.